Hello and welcome to creatingforgrace.com. Today we're going to make this bendy fold card. This one happens to be a Halloween theme, but obviously you can do any theme that you want. It actually stands up like this and it is held together by tabs, and there are little slits in the paper that create the bends on both flaps. It can fold flat to mail, and it is an A2 card size, so it will fit in the regular envelope. So we're going to do the tutorial on that right now. I've done a tutorial on how to assemble the card, and I thought, wow, we really need some directions that are a little more in-depth. So I do have this on my blog. It has all of the dimensions, where the score lines are, where to put the little slices in the paper, which really helps a lot. So I'm going to show you from start to finish how to create the base of the card, and then at the end of the video it shows you how to assemble the card. So you're going to start with one sheet of cardstock here. And this is our Stampin' Up! Stampin' Trimmer. And basically it just takes a half a sheet of cardstock. So this is 8.5 by 11 inches. You're going to cut that directly in half. So you can get two of these bendy cards out of the card bases. And I'm going to cut this side at 4 1/4. So you're going to end up with two of these, which is your basic card base size. So you're going to take one of these is going to be your card base. The second one is actually going to be, you put this at 2 1/2 inches right here and cut, then this part is going to leave you a piece that's 1 3/4. This is what creates your two bendy folds. So we're going to handle these one part at a time. Let's start with the bigger card base right here. So if you see on the directions, this is the card base. We want to have this notched out part. It is 1 inch long. It goes 1 1/2 inches in. It starts at 3/4 of an inch in and ends at 1 3/4 of an inch in. And so the way that I do it, I find it easiest to turn my cutter sideways. You have numbers that start here, and so this is a 1 inch, a 2 inch, and so on and so forth. So on our diagram, if we have the paper this direction, we are following this arrow right here, and we are setting this edge of the paper on the 1 1/2 inch line right there. We're going to close the cutter, and it shows that you want to start 3/4 of an inch up, which is right here, and you want to stop at 1 3/4 of an inch. That will make a 1 inch slit in your paper. So if we're here, your 1 inch part is here, your 2 inch line is here, and I know it's really hard to see on the camera, but at home all you're going to do is you're going to take this and slowly go up to the 1 3/4 inch line, and that is going to create that slit in the paper that allows that bendy fold card tab to go in there. So that is our base for the card. The second part is the 2 1/2 inch flap, which is this one right here. And so we know that if we turn it in, this is a score mark right here, and this part we know we're going to have to cut a notch out of. So this goes 1/4 of an inch in and 1/2 an inch on the other side. So if we turn it back this way and we do 1/4 of an inch, and make sure that you are using your scoring blade and not your cutting blade. Your cutting blade is the dark gray, the scoring blade is the light gray. So one side is going to be the 1/4 inch, and then if we flip this around, we are going to score the other side at 1/2 of an inch. And that is right here. These each go in 3/4 of an inch from each side, and that's the part that you know you're going to want to notch out. So if I line up an edge of the paper at the 3/4 inch mark, and I go like that, and then I'm just going to flip it over, and I'm going to line it up at the 3/4 inch mark again, and just like that. And then I'm going to take our paper snips, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to snip right there and I'm going to go in from each end on the score marks like that. And then I want to just create kind of a tab shape. So all I'm going to do is take a tiny piece off the edge, and the exactness doesn't really matter, just so long as you have something that'll slide easily in. So we had done that score, and we've cut the edge off to create the tab. So we've gotten this far on this side. We've got the score mark on this side. What we need to do is create the slot just like we did on the base part. So this one goes 2.5 inches in. So if we turn this again sideways, and I'm going to set this right here. I'm not sure how much we can catch on the whole thing, but we know that we are starting 2.5 inches in, and it is from the side that has the 1/2 inch score. So we want to make sure and do this correctly. So we're going to start with that right there. We're putting that down. We know that this is going to be up 1.25 inch from the bottom, and there is 1/2 inch on the bottom, and this slit right here is 3/4 inch long. And so what you're going to do is you're going to start at the 1/2 inch mark, and you are going to go to the 1 1/4. So it's basically going from right here to right here, starting at the 1/2 to the 1 1/4. So again, there are measurements that go up here, and we're going to start at the 1/2 inch mark, and we are going to go up to 1 1/4. And that's going to create that little slice in the paper like that. So that's our second piece that's done. The third piece is this one right here. It's the thinnest slice right here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to again turn our paper cutter sideways, and what we want to do is create the 2 score marks again at the 1/2 inch on one end, which is right here, and using the score blade, which is the light gray color, and then opening that up. So that is the 1/2 inch one, turning it around. This part is the 1/4 inch, and so we're going to line that up right there, again like that. And on this one you can see it goes in 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch to create that tab. So we're going to line it up on the 1/2 inch mark like that, and we know that we just want to score from the 1/2 inch down, and then we're going to flip the paper over, again line it up on the 1/2 inch mark just like that, and we just want to create that score mark right there. Again with the paper snips right there and there, and right along the score lines we're going to cut that off and that off, and then create the tabs like that. So once you're done with the cutting part, what you're going to end up with is your base, and then you're going to have this part right here. What I like to do is double stick tape on this end, which I do show in the video when I show how to assemble, and I adhere it actually here because I like to put something on the inside and I like to keep the back clean. And so we're going to have a layer on the inside for a sentiment and probably some decorative paper at the top, which I'll show again what that looked like. And so that is going to lay just like that, and this part is the part that's going to fold right into that bendy tab right there to create that first bend. And then this part is going to be exactly the same way. We are going to adhere it right to the end there, and it will again fold into that tab that we created like that. So on the original one, I added a piece of designer series paper. It was the Halloween specialty paper at the top, and then I also added a piece of white so we could write a sentiment on the inside. And obviously you have to make that so that the tab will insert into that. So what I did is I took my piece of white paper and I laid it where I wanted it to be. I turned the paper over and I took an X-Acto knife and I sliced right there so that the paper would line up. And I knew exactly where I wanted that white layer to be. And that way when I was ready to use adhesive and put that down, it would line up correctly and we would still be able to use the tabs to create that bendy fold. So again, the finished card has the tab that fits in right here. This second tab layers just like this. And that is what we start with.